Hello whiskey fans, hello malt mates, I'm Ralphie in the Whiskey Bothy. This is it. It's not much, but it works. And I'm here with Ralphie Review 1094 extras. Extra content, extra opinion, extra perspective. And this one's all about opinion. I must stress before I start this video, because someone's going to get offended by it, without a doubt, that I am simply providing opinion from the autonomous status of a whiskey reviewer who buys what they review. And in my last review, I reviewed this, a lovely, heavily peated Islay whiskey. However, it wasn't my first review. This was it. Oban Little Bay. I bought this, and I wish I hadn't. And I will not be buying it again. I bought it because I wanted something that's completely mainstream, that you can easily find in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, even Tasmania. Parts of the world where they don't really get a lot of access to really good quality whiskey, despite these countries being part of the Commonwealth, which should mean an open market, but it isn't. And there's a reason for that, hidden in plain sight. And when I first poured it, my first reaction was, OMG, why is this so sweet? Even in the nose. You're getting this almost glucose, stevia type sweetness. It's as if you've taken an American oak cask with lots of vanilla in it, and then you've added vanilla essence. And that got me frowning. But it's when I tasted this. It's so sweet, it could pass as a liqueur. It's incredibly sweet. Naturally, I didn't want to quit too soon, so I added water. 5 millilitres from the soda spoon. Bearing in mind that this is heavily chill filtered, that it is loaded with caramel colourant. I'm looking for that West Coast Highland single malt character. And what I'm finding on the nose and on the taste is something formerly identified as a West Coast Highland whisky, which has been so engineered, in my opinion, that it is barely recognisable to Obans of yesteryear. At this point, alarm bells are going, because I don't want to be delivering too much bad news on disappointing whiskies. So how do I deal with it? Because I'm aware that it'll put people off buying whiskey. And I want whiskey to be available, and I want whiskey to be enjoyed by people around the world. And Scotch whiskey should be the best. But this is so confectioneried. It's actually shocked my palate and surprised me. And if I'd known what it was going to taste like, I would have not bought the bottle, but I have. I've paid money for that. So I feel obliged to let you know. Bear in mind what I'm telling you is a personal opinion. But you add water, the nose becomes even lighter. If I was advising a tourist, particularly someone from America, that's on a particularly sweet, sugar-saturated, sugar-soaked diet from the very moment they were born, I would recommend this because it's so accessible, it's so instant. It's so simple, two-dimensional. And if the shop had run out of Dalwhinnie's Winter's Gold, this would be the next option. Because that's another example of a brand which has become, in my opinion, frighteningly sanitised. Let's taste it again. As little as possible. It's improved slightly. There's a fruitiness coming through. The sweetness is not quite so overt. The sweetness is certainly integrated with the spirit. But there's something about the sweetness that from the arrival, through the development, into the finish, that sweetness is constant. It doesn't fluctuate with the rest of the whisky flavours, which tells me, in my opinion, that there's added sweetness or sweeteners in this. Now, at this point, I'm mentioning it on my Patreon channel because I'm discussing in my Bothy Lives, once a month, 2-hour live stream for Patreon subscribers, that I'm not happy with it. And one of my subscribers has made a very, very interesting point, which I'm going to share with you, and I stress this is his opinion. His name's Willem. He's one of my Patreon subscribers. And I'm going to read out exactly what he says. Ralphie, I think your suspicion might not be far off. A while back, my whisky club and I made a point to get hold of a couple of Diageo standard bottlings. We were dissecting Johnnie Walker and some of the malts it's made up of, and I must say that 100% of all these bottlings were a complete disappointment to me, including, in brackets, here come the fans with their pitchforks and torches, I can hear them now, close brackets, Clynelish 14, which, and I'm interrupting here to just highlight that Diageo cleaned out the pipes at Clynelish Distillery, and its famous waxy signature has been obliterated. It is now just a standard fruity whisky. All of these standard Diageo single malt releases that I have tried have had the same off character that I dubbed the Diageo cask effect. My feeling is that the corporation has standardised and thus flattened the character of all of their malts made up at their various distilleries to such an extent, due to their cask policies that include the sourcing, type and use of the casks, the centralising of maturation, and that's to Blackgrange, thus reducing the provenance and singular character of the whiskies. But this effect is so profound that it might be, as you say, something that's very tangible and standardised that they are applying to casks. You know what? Diageo are to whisky what the music industry is to pop music, using auto-tune and puppet artists to be sold as an image. By the way, I know you did not mention this in this update, but I am very much looking forward to your review of the new Ardnamurchan Madeira cask release, which in fact, for the record, I will be reviewing soon. And that's Willem's comment. And I totally get it. There is a suspicion amongst the whisky fans, and it is a suspicion, I must make this clear, that Diageo have so centralised and industrialised their process that the identity of single malts is now being suppressed for the purposes of engineering consistency of what's called event. And this includes a proprietary rinsing solution used in casks, which may or may not be true, right? but there's suspicion that it's happening, that a proprietary in-house syrup is being used in the preparation of reassembled, recharged, toasted and shaved casks that is adding additional sweetness, which is not to be found in the single malt itself. The effect of this, along with heavy chill filtration and the use of caramel colouring, means that the signature, the identity, the singularity of the single malt is being eroded over time, and more of Diageo releases are becoming samey. They're becoming similar. You see this in particular, and this is why I won't review any more Johnnie Walker range whiskies. There's no point. I just start grumbling, and I just don't want to waste my money. I'd rather just go get a supermarket blend and actually have something to say. But I'm really struggling here with the entire Diageo portfolio, where they're still putting out overpriced annual release whiskies while discounting, heavily discounting, releases from years ago that have never sold. It's patronising, it's condescending, and we have options. And one of the most important things that we need to do, Maltmates, is be in charge of our choices and to choose carefully. And this may seem like cold comfort to the whisky industry, but it's not. Because people who buy good whisky and enjoy the whisky they buy for the money they pay come back as tomorrow's customers. The passive consumer that has no interest in whisky, it's just a one-off purchase because they're a tourist or they want a high-end bar, if such a things even have customers to exist these days. They've lost their way at this company. They've just completely lost it. But I haven't lost my way in my channel. This is an independent channel. And because I'm buying these bottles, I reserve the right to my opinion. And my opinion, this Portascaig Caol Cask Strength, which comes from this company, from Diageo. And yet, you'll find over time, see when independent bottlers allow the singularity of the single malt into their bottlings, whether it be Cragganmore, Caol, whether it be Glenelgin, whether it be Cardhu. It's not that you see much at Cardhu. These whiskies really start to shine, which shows it's not that Diageo can't make good whisky. It's worse than that. They're choosing not to, because they're hunting down, with the great expense, considerable expense of marketing budgets, the disinterested, unconnected, uninspired, lazy consumer who won't buy whisky unless they feel a nudge that it's the new year and it's supposed to happen. They'll open the bottle, they'll have a glass, they'll bang in the ice, they'll flood it with Coca-Cola, and only then will they admit that they're actually enjoying it. But these people are getting thinner on the ground globally. Those who appreciate a good Scotch whisky are still in the game, and you'll find them selling out tickets at whisky festivals. You'll see Portascaig at a whisky festival, but see, in Scotland, you never see Diageo at a whisky festival. Not one that I've ever been to. It's probably a good thing. Just telling you, as it is, as always, an opinion.